What's up, fam? My name is Macro, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make basses similar to ba-ba-ba-bum.
KOMPANY.
Diamonds on the block.
Alright guys, so this is what I was able to make. I'm going to show you guys how to do this today also.
Diamonds on the block.
Yeah, there's that KOMPANY long bass. So we're gonna be going over these different types of growls and basses. This one supports it. Then we got that long bass that you guys love. Yeah, so if you guys are excited to actually learn how to make stuff like that, make sure you stick until the very end, so that way you learn how to do all these and apply them to your own different types of projects and sound design. So I know it's been a while since I put out a video. I have a lot of cool different ideas that I plan for future videos, and it's really exciting. But this project I was really excited to show you guys, and I really wanted to make a tutorial on how to do it, plus all the different messages that I've gotten on YouTube and Instagram to do a KOMPANY sound design tutorial, because you guys know I love KOMPANY so much. Like, he's the guy that I learned so much sound design from and how I'm able to make my own sounds. And honestly, just from like a couple of techniques that I've learned from watching videos from him on live streams, I've been able to dive so deep into Serum and sound design itself. So here's the first one that I'm going to show you guys how to do. So for this tutorial, I'm not going to be able to put the Ableton project up for like download. See, it's my own sound design lab where I just create sounds, and I don't know, it's where I go to just to experiment. But I'm going to have all of the presets for download in the description if you guys want to use them. But I really hope that you guys watch the whole video, so that way you learn how to use the different techniques. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the whole group so you can see how it sounds like just in Serum on its own. And of course we're going to go like into the automation too. So I have all the other things turned off. Let me actually turn the sub off too. But what he talks about in a lot of his like sound design process is that he takes something that he likes off the get-go, like this sound right here. So he uses LFO1 as his like push and pull. Basically, push and pull, when he talks about it, is a technique to give the sound its like fundamental shape. He calls it push and pull because it's controlling like the amount of levels, some wavetable positions, and other things that come with like volume control. The first LFO for push and pull, and he has it at like the constant or like rate that he wants that bass sound to go at. So in this case it was at 1/4, and he usually picks something that has a nice fundamental to it. So for the first wavetable in the Oscillator A, I used one from the Live 10 wavetables, and he talks about this too, and I've told you guys about this also. I go to collection, and then I took squash, and then I just found a wavetable position I liked. This one was at 103, turning the random all the way down so that way there's no phasing problems, or not phasing, like it's not starting at different like levels within the wavetable itself, or like different positions within the wavetable. And I just routed the LFO to the level, and then also the FM, because we're going to be FMing from B. So that's its push and pull. It's giving the sound its shape. I got the sub on there, directed out, and then I put the LFO on that too for the push and pull technique. After that, we've got Oscillator B. So Oscillator B is going to be what you're FMing from, so you turn the level all the way down, random all the way down also. But what he talked about was using spectral, since it has some really good sounds in there that give something more characteristic when you FM it. I think he used maybe Monster 8. I used Monster 7, or maybe he used Monster 7. But for the sake of the tutorial, we're using Monster 7, okay? I turned the octave up by 3. He talks about using this semitone section also. You can bring it up by 5 or even bring it up by 7. These are nice fundamentals that it'll go with when you're FMing it. He talks about using the sync mode too. So we're not using that for push and pull. We're going to use LFO2 to give these different like harmonics and not fundamentals, harmonics that enhance the fundamental sound some more characteristic and make it a little different and give it a nice timbre. So already it sounds like pretty cool. It sounds a little whiny. So before we go into like the rest of the like things like filter and effects, we'll talk about LFO2 for a minute. So LFO2 is really cool because he'll put the rate at about half the amount of what the rate was for LFO1. So this one's at 1/4, LFO2 is at 1/2. And of course it's going to change a little bit when you start automating the rates on it to give, you know, like a 1/4 versus a 1/8 feel on a drop. But LFO2 is mainly going to affect the characteristic or timbre of the sound with whatever you map it to. So it's going to be mapped to the sync, which is giving it like a nice higher timbre or frequency to it. And it's also messing with the wavetable, blah, 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 with the wavetable position. So yeah, that's pretty much what LFO2 does. We've got this filter on here. He talks about using band filters to give a nice low like sound to it, really deep. It's also giving a little bit like of a growl sound. We got LFO2 mapped to it, going up and down. And if you don't know how to do that, I think it's Shift Option. Before I do that, I gotta see what this is at. Yeah, so on Mac, I don't know for PC, Shift and Option will swap between it just going one way to 2 ways. So of course turning the drive up, resonance, and finding a spot you like on the cutoff. And then now to effects, he showed how to use the compressor first. So it's going to bring those sounds back up from that deep sound that you now have, because it's going to bring up some more higher frequencies and fundamentals. And then after that we've got diode 2. So he talks about diode 2 a lot also because it works as a nice volume control to the distortion. So he's got the mix all the way up, and then he plays with the drive automation on it. And then we've got a flange filter. Of course with this you can play around with it a lot and map it differently, but LFO2 is messing with the cutoff here. And then LFO1, it's messing with this resonance, like push and pull. And then we've got this EQ. This is gonna add another like growly feature to it. So yeah, that stuff's pretty like self-explanatory. But we've got the rack now. So all these I have in a group. The main thing that I have besides sidechaining and like mid-side EQ, as this is pretty standard, you know, with reverb being as a reverb throw. And these reverbs I think I have mainly for like the other basses because they're all grouped together. Or is it on this guy? What I'm mainly automating is the LFO1 rate within Serum. So it sounds pretty cool. So well, that's a lot of automation for the other stuff. So we'll turn everything else off over here. We'll add it in one by one. So first we've got this OTT. He uses this a lot when it comes to his tutorials. I don't know, his sound design might have changed after like the time that those videos were uploaded, but I'm pretty sure he does somewhat of the same thing. So he's got this OTT that he usually uses, and a lot of people have been asking me about this KOMPANY OTT. So basically it's to bring up the mids and lows to really bring the sound out more, and you can copy like these parameters down. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to give you guys the Ableton racks too, so that should be able to help you guys out if you're on Ableton. But like I said before, the presets for Serum are going to be in the description below. After that, I put on phaser. Dry wet's only at 19%. I didn't want it crazy, just to add a little bit of a sound. And then frequency was at 1.28 and feedback was at 82. Then this is another really cool thing that I saw. It's a Tynan pipe resonator. So if you guys get the rack, all I did was just tune it to match with the key of the bass. And I kept the dry wet really low, but basically it's a I think this is a corpus. Like, it's not a preset, but it's if you load in corpus, when you type it in up here, you go down to tube and then you tune it to what you like, take the LFO off, and then you make sure that the dry wet's really, really low, set it to these parameters here. And I think decay played a really big part in it, but that's how I originally made the pipe resonator. Kind of sounds like a lot of Tynan's tracks. Glue compressor to add some volume and make it tighter. And then VR fat rack. So I was just gonna make the sound, you know, bigger. And this VR fat rack, people have been asking me like where'd I get it and stuff. I just looked it up online and I downloaded it. It was from like Reddit or something, so I'm pretty sure you guys could do that too. So next up we've got this sound. This is kind of like a little growl to use like in between or like on every fourth or something to give it a little bit more like hype. I'm pretty sure KOMPANY still uses sounds like this. I mean, in a lot of like live streams and tutorials he's been on, he shows like how he layers mid-side, like middle heavy basses and like side heavy basses together. And I mean, you guys can do that too. He bounces it to audio and stuff, which is really, really cool. But I wanted to make this one kind of like simple for you guys to use. If you really get in depth with it, it gets a lot more complex. KOMPANY's really good. He's got tons and tons of layers, so shout out to him for being so good with all that. So here's the bass patch without any of the Ableton effects on it. So it's pretty much kind of like the last patch. I just changed some parameters around and it helps keep the entire drop sound cohesive. So it's from the same patch with little tweaks. So the fundamental, I just kept it like how it was before, and I just changed the monster's sync amount, I think. See how it's going up a lot more. And I changed the LFO2 like shape as well. Still kept it at 3, still kept the sub, and of course like on the group we're gonna cut out all the low end and stuff. After that we've got the band filter again. And now we'll add all the effects. So you can see how like using the EQ to make a cool growl really affected it a lot. That's like a signature like KOMPANY growl. Like rup rup, that's crazy. But yeah, I love it. It sounds so good. But for the filter, we use the comb filter rather than the flange plus. But it's pretty much like the same technique as before, just changing a couple little things around, that's all. So we got the rack again. This time I used something a little different for like the utility that's on it, but I'll talk about that in a second. So we've got KOMPANY OTT like last time. Glue compressor. Makes it louder. Fat rack, louder. And then this utility. What I was doing was messing with the gain so I could control the volume amount without having to mess with this volume amount over here. So this helps a lot too. Like when you're mixing and mastering and blending sounds together, I recommend using the utility a lot more than just like the Ableton, you know, volume control over here. So I did some automation, as you guys can see right here. So I have it messing with the filters frequency and the warping amount for Oscillator B. So I think it's right here that I'm messing with it. Yeah. So it's right here, this warp, that's messing with this right here, the sync window, and effects filter frequency, that is probably coming from right here somewhere. So if I click it, it's messing with the cutoff right here for the frequency on that. So we're just gonna re-enable this. So I have it hitting like every different fourth, I guess. I don't really know how to explain those spacing between bars, but I used it for the warp, the frequency, and the gain. So you'll hear what it sounds like. So that's giving it like cool little variation timbres throughout the drop, and it helps carry the sound. It still keeps it real cohesive, but it's making it sound pretty unique. See, so it helps keep like the flow going. So if you've been watching like towards the end of the video, I applaud you, because now we're at the super long bass that everybody loves. This is like Kompany's signature legato bass. So he talks about how to do this in I forget which live stream, but basically what he does is he takes the same kind of patch that he had for his other growls, and he makes it a long sustained bass. So all he does is just change the LFO table or shape. So he'll take LFO1, which is controlling the push and pull, and he'll make it as long as he wants, you know, with 2 bar, whatever. And this one's interesting because when you start to do this to like the growls that you like, you start to mess with like LFO 2, and you get really cool results just moving it around. So things like that, they're pretty cool. Messing with the sync, messing with the cutoff over here for the filters, all these play big parts in it to actually give it a different like timbre. But you can see I still kept the squash and the monster wavetables on there for the oscillators. I did change the octave ranges for them too, so I brought it to 2 rather than 3, and I brought the semitones up a 7th instead of keeping it at just 0. For the effects, this is going to be the same thing as the last patches, but you can play around with them a little bit more. So that's without the effects, but basically it's a long sustained like deep bass, and with all the effects it's going to bring all those harmonics back up. So one thing that's real interesting, if you guys have been like paying attention to it, this little macro knob I made for legato, that's actually coming from LFO 3. So what he did was set it to triplets. So he's at 1/16 triplets. This gives it like that, fuck, I don't know what it's called. I usually call this thing like a chainsaw, where like a chainsaw is going like fast like that, repeating. So how he showed how to do it is used the 1/16 triplet for LFO 3, went over to matrix, and he went to master tuning. It's set going left and right. I guess it's called bipolar mode. He turns the output all the way down, and then master tuning, I think it's only like 1 or 2. Okay, I think it's 2. It is 2. But you see right here, this output knob, this is getting mapped through Ableton. So, oh, you know what? I think it was getting mapped right here, actually. No, this legato is actually getting mapped to the wavetable position. And yeah, so I just mapped this to the wavetable position. It's changing the timbre of the sound as it goes. Sorry, I thought it was going straight to like the, what's it called? mod. It's called mod 12. I'll show you guys that. So I'm sorry, bear with me on that. So legato, when I put it, it was just to mess with the wavetable position, give it timbre. Right there. So this is the important part. Sorry guys. So master tuning, he'll take the volume, like the output right here, crank it down to 0, but after he clicks it in Ableton, if you hit A, then you'll get the automation, and then you just hit this plus button, and mod 12 is what you had just clicked inside of Serum. So that's that, like that output control for the master tuning. So if we put that back on, re-enable it, that's what sends it up, like legato. So if I mess with this pitch bend and the legato and only have that like mod going on from the output, you hear it, it's like, it sounds like it's fluttering. That's the effect that he always uses. So he showed how to use pitch bend also. So that is coming from right here. So if you click the pitch bend knob, then you can automate it here. You just click the plus and then you ramp it up. So you'll see it move here. It's going up. You could do the same thing too, going down if you wanted to. And then that legato macro control, which I should change from legato to like wavetable position, it's gonna mess with the timbre too. And then after that, we got KOMPANY OTT, glue compressor, fat rack, and that's it for like the long bass. So this is really cool because I took one of like my favorite tracks from him, and it's from far back too, Rapture, and I just took the vocals, and I guess this is kind of like my little edit of Rapture. I was able to take the vocals, and what I did was just sidechain them to the actual bass sounds that I made, and I don't know where it is. I think it might be here on the group. I just sidechained them to the vocals, so when I cut the vocals out from the track, they duck, everything else ducks down in volume to make room for the vocals. You'll see it happen here. Thought this would be a cool thing to show you guys too, like towards the end of the video. And everything else, drums and stuff, pretty self-explanatory. I used a virtual right kick right here, Sultan snare, got this Tisoki top loop, use this one for the second part. This is static going on in the background from Tisoki's sample pack. And it's just side chained and, you know, only cutting for the highs. And then of course I have low end from Tisoki's pack. And then I just have that following like the bass patches and stuff. If you guys watched to the end of the video, thank you so much, KOMPANY. If you watch this too, like, I'm really inspired by your sounds. It's helped me. I'm pretty sure it's helped a lot of other people out there. So thank you for doing what you do. I can't wait to see videos when you post them to your YouTube channel. So I really hope that's soon. Let me know what you learned and also what you want to see in the future. My Instagram is MKROOFFICIAL. You can follow me there. Make sure that you subscribe, put notifications on, make sure you leave a like, all of that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching again. I wouldn't be where I am without you guys, and I'm glad that I'm able to help you guys learn a ton of new stuff all the time. So other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.